Starting off at number 10 with Mannequin. Mannequin is an online multiplayer game that sort of reminds me of Prop Hunt, except for instead of being props that you're hiding as, you're hiding as mannequins, essentially. So some of the players are going to play as hunters using different devices to try to find these evil creatures, the mannequins, and some are going to be playing as the mannequin type character, which I think is like an alien. And in this world, as you can see, there's like frozen people. It looks like, I don't know the exact backstory. I know that one side hunts the mannequin creatures and one side is the mannequin creatures, and they have to stay still and pretend that they're not the creature and hunt the hunters, if that makes any sense. It looks like fun. I can't wait to check it out. I think it'll be a great multiplayer game, and it could make for a lot of laughs, especially in VR. Staying still in VR will be interesting to see how that mechanic works. I'm very curious to try it. Number 9 is Zero Caliber 2. I actually really enjoyed Zero Caliber on the Quest, especially with the updates that it's had over the years, from mods to better visuals, and it's one of the few single-player military kind of games on the Quest. And when I say military, I don't mean realistic. This is more like a Call of Duty campaign type of game, sort of. And Zero Caliber 2 seems to be taking that to the next level. I'm curious to see what they've done with the campaign, because I love campaign-based shooters with like a story, and I like the setting of Zero Caliber, so it'll be interesting to see how this game plays, what they've done to improve it from a mechanics standpoint and gameplay. Number 8 is Astro Hunters. Now this game actually probably could be higher on this list, but I'm really looking forward to Astro Hunters. This is an open world space kind of exploration type game that reminds me a lot of No Man's Sky, except for probably more simplified and not anywhere near as big. But it can be played as either single player or in co-op. It looks like you could go from planet to planet and collect resources and fight against these alien monsters and play through a story campaign, I'm guessing. I don't know. I love space exploration games. No Man's Sky on PSVR 2 was one of my favorite PSVR 2 games, and still is. And if this could even capture some of that, I hope that there is some, space flying elements to this. I don't know if there will be, but I hope there is, because I think that would be really cool. But this game, though, I am very excited for it, because I think it'll be cool to be able to go from planet to planet, collect things. There's crafting, and it just sounds really cool to me. Number 7 is VRSO Bare Knuckle Fighting. This is like a fight club of VR, essentially. This is a bare knuckle brawling boxing type of game that looks like it's going to be very interesting. The visuals look really good. Now, I don't know for sure what it's going to look like on Quest necessarily, but the environments that they've done are like what you get in something like Real VR Fishing. So the environments could actually look really good in comparison to some other VR games. And if they can use that and some really good AI, I think it could be a really fun game. This is a story campaign type of game. I imagine there's, like expedition, just jump in and fight people as well. But this is apparently like a start from the bottom, work your way to the top type of brawling game, and I'm excited to try it out. Next up, number 6 is Undercover. I love me a good light gun shooting game, and this looks to harken back to things like Time Crisis. In fact, it looks exactly like Time Crisis in a lot of ways, and to me, that's not a bad thing. I love arcade shooters, and when it's done right, it is a blast in VR. You don't have to be able to physically move around to have a game be really good. And by physically move around, I mean like with sticks. Obviously, you can physically move around, and that's kind of the crux of VR. But you don't have to actually have free locomotion in certain games to make a great game, and we see that in a lot of really cool VR games on Quest. But this one looks like it could be fun. I love this type of game, so I'm very curious to see what has been done to make this unique, and it looks like it could be very fun. Number 5 is Attack on Titan VR Unbreakable. Now this, I have it like at the middle of the list. It's probably one of my most anticipated games, but I put it at the middle because I'm not 100% sold on what it's going to be yet. There isn't really any information out there. We've got this, visualization trailer, which is more of a concept trailer than, but we haven't seen anything else or heard anything else, really. Apparently there's going to be co-op in this game, so it will have like a multiplayer element, so you can fight against the Titans in co-op. I don't know if it's just 2-player, if it's 3-player, or what it's going to be. I love Attack on Titan. It's one of my favorite animes, of all time, and it would be amazing to jump into that world in a story and fight the Titans with some really cool mechanics. I'm afraid it's going to be awful, so I'm just nervous because I love this story and I love the whole world that it exists in. So I'm afraid it's going to ruin that in VR for me. I hope not. But Attack on Titan VR Unbreakable is supposed to be coming this year, and I am very excited to check it out, even though I'm very nervous as well. Number 4, Contractors Showdown. This is Contractors, my favorite online FPS for VR or Quest, but it's like a Battle Royale style with larger rooms, more players at a time, a lot more going on, bigger maps. It looks like it's going to be crazy cool. Still don't know a massive ton about this. I think it's in closed beta right now or closed alpha, and it's being tested. But I, for one, am very excited for this because Contractors does it right. There's so much awesome stuff in Contractors. One of the best parts about it is the mods, actually. So I don't know if we'll get that in Showdown. But this looks like it could be so cool and one of the best Battle Royale games on Quest for sure. This next game is another online game. Ghosts of Tabor is number 3 on our list. Ghosts of Tabor is fantastic. What I've played is so good, but I just haven't taken the time to get into it because I want to wait until after launch. I know people are going to say, just play it, even though they get wiped every once in a while. I want to wait till after launch because if I'm going to take the time to play a game like that, I want to be able to play it and not have to worry about all the progress I've made getting wiped. I don't have a lot of time to play personally anymore for VR games, so when I do, I value that time. So I've played around with Ghosts of Tabor. I've watched a lot of videos. It's so good, and it has a lot of potential to just be one of the best games on Quest, and I'm excited for an official launch so that I can actually start playing and really put the time into this game. But I know a lot of people love this game, so I definitely had to put it on this list, and it's going to be fantastic when it actually launches, makes a full launch. Number 2, Wanderer, the Fragments of Fate. I loved Wanderer on PC. It was such a good game. The PC VR version was so good. The story was fantastic. Now, this is actually coming to PC VR as well. This is the Fragments of Fate. This is a complete redo of the game. Better visuals, better mechanics. The story is what made it for me last time, and now everything that could have been improved is being improved. It's going to be amazing, and it's coming to Quest. Buckle up, because this is such a good story game. It kind of came out of nowhere for me, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite games the year that it came out, which I think was 2 years ago now. And I'm very excited for this to come to Quest and to play it on Quest 3. Number 1 on the list is one of the games I've been waiting for a very long time, and this is Behemoth. This looks so good. It's by the developers of Saints and Sinners, and they delayed it until the end of 2024. Hopefully they'll be able to get the bugs out and finish developing the game. With Saints and Sinners Part 2 or Chapter 2, there was a lot of issues when it first launched, and then with Arashi Castle of Sins, there was a lot of issues. I'm just hoping they're going to take the time to make this a good game, like the first Saints and Sinners. That was one of the best games on Quest, still is, and I'm excited to see what they do with Behemoth. This is like fighting giants and surviving and combat and Viking type medieval stuff. I love that stuff. I'm very curious to try this out and see how it's going to be. I assume it's story based, which I love again. So I'm definitely very excited for Behemoth when it comes out sometime this year. Now, I've got a few honorable mentions that I'm also looking forward to that just didn't quite make the top 10. First up is Medieval Dynasty. The only reason this didn't make the top 10, I love lifestyle living type things where you have to survive and live a life in a time period or whatever. The only reason this didn't make it in the top 10 is because I'm not sure how it's going to be. This is a port. It's not, I don't want to say it's a port. It's an original game in the series of Medieval Dynasty. It's not the official Medieval Dynasty game. It's an original game for VR, for Quest, and it looks like it could be very cool. Visuals look simplistic, but that's not everything, as we know, and if the mechanics are good, I'm excited to check this out. Next for honorable mentions is Arcade Paradise VR. I love the idea of this. I played some of the flat game. Actually, I played some of it on the channel for Xbox Game Pass, and I've played a little more too. I think this could be really cool. I love arcade. elements in VR, like playing arcade games. This, I think, has a whole bunch of games. I think it was 39 different games. Some of them have been designed specifically with VR in mind, and some of them have been updated to better work with VR interaction, and that's really cool. But it's like a management type of game where you're going to run a laundromat and turn it into an arcade. I mean, it's really cool. It has a story to it too. I'm looking forward to playing through that game. And last for honorable mentions is Veil VR. This is coming to Quest actually next month. I very much enjoyed playing Veil when I played it on PC VR. I have not played the Quest version yet, but I did enjoy it as an online shooter. It's got physics, and I think it does a good job with what it does. So that is coming to the Quest as well. So Veil is our last for honorable mentions.